So it is not mandatory that you need an intravenous sedation. There are many centers who do it on purely local anesthesia. But the reason why we involve an anesthetist is because for any surgical procedure, there is a process called pre-anesthetic checkup. So we want the anesthetist to evaluate you to identify whether you may have any risk component when a local anesthesia with some adrenaline is given, because that is where the problems come. The complication happens mostly because of two main reasons: anesthesia and sterility. These are the two main reasons why person ends up in complications. From when it is sterility is breached, they end up in infection, which can be atypical mycobacteria, necrotizing fasciitis, ending up in sepsis and then subsequently multi-organ failure. The next important thing that you need to understand in hair transplant is the anesthesia. Now talk a little more about the anesthesia that we do, why it is the most crucial step, because this is where most of the complication happens. This is why you need a board certified medical specialist, especially a plastic surgeon or a trained dermatologist with an anesthetist doing the procedure. Yeah.
So we would what is called give intravenous anesthesia, or we can give a mild sedation. In this, during the initial process of starting the procedure, before we have to anesthetize the entire scalp, we would give what is called a nerve block. So before we give the nerve block, to make sure that the patient is comfortable and to make sure that while doing the procedure, all the sterility and every precaution is maintained, we give this anesthesia. This anesthesia may probably last for say 2 to 3 hours, and in that time we can ensure that all the blocks are given, the patient is comfortable, he is not aware of the pain, and once they get back and become awake from it, the complete area is already numb.
So it is not mandatory that you need an intravenous sedation. There are many centers who do it on purely local anesthesia. But the reason why we involve an anesthetist is because for any surgical procedure, there is a process called pre-anesthetic checkup. So we want the anesthetist to evaluate you to identify whether you may have any risk component when a local anesthesia with some adrenaline is given, because that is where the problems come. When local anesthesia is given with adrenaline, suddenly during the procedure your heart rate can go up and then patient can have problems in the heartbeat, and this is what we want the anesthetist to check before the surgery. So this anesthetist checks before the surgery. So next time when you want to get a hair transplant done, check with your specialist whether the anesthetist is going to evaluate you before the procedure. Then you get your evaluation done. After you get the evaluation done, during the surgery, it's not 1 or 2 injections that you make, because I had once visited a country where I was seeing hair transplant and they were just doing it at a local, and the patient had excruciating pain and he just got up and walked away from the procedure. So in order to avoid the discomfort that you may encounter while giving multiple local anesthetists as a ring block or a nerve block, in order to keep you comfortable, less anxious, is why we give an intravenous conscious sedation, which means that this type of anesthesia, you're not completely unconscious, you are conscious. If we ask you to move, you move your head, but you don't feel the pain.
Yeah.
So, and this takes about half an hour. So when a sedation is given, sometimes people feel nauseated, so we give you instruction to come empty stomach. We finish the procedure of the block, and by the time we finish the first harvest, patient is almost completely conscious. The area where we are going to work on is completely numb, and they feel comfortable, and then they have the food and come back for implant. So this is how the procedure is done. So please understand how important is anesthesia. Most of I'm sure we've all have heard about death in hair transplant, and it's not that you need to be scared of, because this is a very, very safe procedure. They usually 99.999% you will not have complication. The complication happens mostly because of two main reasons: anesthesia and sterility. These are the two main reasons why person ends up in complications. From when it is sterility is breached, they end up in infection, which can be atypical mycobacteria, necrotizing fasciitis, ending up in sepsis and then subsequently multi-organ failure. And in anesthesia, it is cardiac complications, patient having cardiac arrest or anything. But if both of them are addressed well, this is a very, very safe procedure. You don't have to think about it at all. The next thing is, everybody thinks in many centers there are surgeons who fly in, come and do the procedure and just go up. I am really puzzled how you would accept. Would you accept going and getting a heart surgery from somewhere and somebody else seeing you after the procedure? You won't. Then why are you doing it for hair transplant? The same surgeon who's operating on you should see you after the procedure. I mean, the fly-in surgeon, they come, they just do, they operate, and because people are accepting this, there are various technician groups that go around from places to place, and basically your surgeon only sees you in the outpatient clinic. You don't see the surgeon in the theater at all. So in Tamira, again, people ask whether the same surgeon, here we are a group of 3-4 plastic surgeons, all their certification is displayed. If you go to Tamira website, www.tamiralife.com, you will see all the credentials displayed. You can verify with the association whether the credentials, the doctors are also members of the association. That's a second verification. And all of us take turn. Why do we take turn? Because it's a long process, 8 hours, 10 hours procedure, and so there is a fatigue component, so we take turn to execute the procedure. But it's very important that you understand this whole series. Now a little bit about post-procedure protocol. So what is the protocol we follow? We wash, antibiotic covered. Why are we doing this? See, in many countries, also their weather is different,
yes,
right? So the atmosphere is less polluted, so probably they don't need a few days of antibiotic. And most important, you will see some pictures on the internet where after surgery people have swollen eyes and they're scared. Can you tell a little more about that?
Yeah, so because we are punching or using the punches or implantation process through in your entire scalp, and also we give what is called a ring block or a nerve block, there is going to be some swelling that happens in the face, and that is absolutely normal. So we give 3 to 5 days of antibiotic cover to ensure, because our climate, our atmosphere has a lot of humidity, a lot of moisture, we need to keep it dry. And then on the second and third day, we give good hair wash that is supervised here and done here, so that you don't have to worry about washing your hair. We also give you what are the post-procedure instructions, what spray to use, what all solutions that we need to use for the donor area, for the recipient area, to ensure that it is sterile. And because there is a swelling that happens in the face, we also give low-dose steroid for the first 3-4 days to make sure that the swelling goes away faster. We also give the instructions of sleeping with your head elevated to make sure that the swelling goes away faster. So all these are different precautions that we take and the advice that we give to make sure you have a smooth recovery.
Yeah, so you've heard all about hair transplant. So this video will be shown as a series, what you need to know from A to Z about getting a hair transplant procedure. So if you have not watched the previous video, please go back and watch the previous video. Or if you have watched all the series and you still have any doubts, you can express your concerns, doubts in the comment section below, and we will definitely reach out to you. And when you put a comment, and if you really want to hear from us, it's good if you share your contact details. You can directly DM us, and then we will get in touch with you to clarify your doubt. That it's not necessary that you need to get a procedure done by us, even if you've got procedure done elsewhere and you have a concern. And before I close, I would also like to tell you that everybody thinks if I do hair transplant for hair loss, that's the end of it. No. So let's conclude with what is important in the post-procedure medical protocol. Like, is hair transplant one-time procedure? Is it permanent? Does hair grow after hair transplant? Can they shave the scalp after hair transplant? Is it essential for them to take some medications?
Yeah. So hair transplant, depending on how much of the hair you have lost in the beginning, there are different grades of alopecia that is present depending on how much hair you have lost. If your hair loss is stable, you are taking care of your lifestyle, you follow the medicines that we give, probably your hair transplant may be just a one-time solution and you can just have the one-time treatment. But if you continue to lose your hair without having a good lifestyle, or if you don't take the prescribed medications, you may need a subsequent session. Now what is important is, most of the times the transplanted hair usually is resistant to the DHT or the hormone that causes our hair fall. But our native hair, or the hair that you are already having in the area where you are losing the hair, that is more sensitive to DHT. If you don't keep your DHT levels under control with the help of certain medicines, you may continue to lose your hair, and that is when this medical protocol is important. We give you certain medications along with the topical treatment. This has oral medication as well as topical treatment, and we also give you multivitamins to make sure that we protect your hair. And then depending on this, we also don't want you to take the tablets for a long period. We give in a pulse form so that we can extract the maximum benefit of those medicines and make sure that you can avoid the side effects. Now after that, if needed, we will also recommend you to take different injectable treatments like PRP or growth factors. In this way, even after transplant, it is important to have a good procedure done and follow the medical protocol to make sure that you have your good hair.
Now that you spoke about PRP, let me tell you that just because you had a transplant doesn't mean that like a timetable you have to have PRP. You have to have, definitely you have to have for 5 days antibiotic painkiller is a must. After that, to make sure that you don't have a shock loss and preserve the remaining hair, you need to follow a medical protocol. These are must. But all other injectables are advised to you as and when required. Like if you have some excessive hair loss because we give medication in a pulse, we do not advise everybody to take oral medication lifelong. So when we are giving in between the pulse, if you have hair loss, in order to prevent oral medication, because today the same medicine that can be given orally is also available as scalp injection in a cocktail formulation. So trying to in between to buy time to repeat the pulse is when these injectables. So again, don't get carried away by this marketing where they say if you do hair transplant you will get 6 PRP sessions free. So all this is like, you in every other specialty or in every other field, you know what you're paying for. Unfortunately, in healthcare, it doesn't seem so. You don't. There are all the time patients come and ask us. I don't think when you buy a car, you don't go to a dealer who sells an Audi and ask why is Maruti giving it that price and you're charging, right? But why does this question come in healthcare? Because you're not aware of what are you paying for, whether it is the infrastructure you're paying for, it is the equipment you're paying for. A trained surgeon skill is, if they're very well trained, they all should deliver the same result. But what are you paying for? You need to know that. So with this, I think you would have an in-depth understanding of where to go and whom to choose when you plan your next hair transplant or any other hair scalp procedures. Thank you so much, Anish.
Thank you.